Memory is key for any AI agent, especially in sales. In this video, I'll be showing you an AI memory agent I built in n8n that adapts over time. It learns important info you share with it, can improve its own memory, and add clients to your CRM and update records for you. It actually pays attention when you're talking to it and is a master at learning who you are and what you're working on. If you mention something like, Sarah's launching her new product in March, or I just got a new client named Sam who works in real estate, it captures that info, updates your CRM, and even creates new memories for itself automatically. This agent makes sure that you don't miss opportunities. So no more let me get back to you on that or forgetting what projects your network is excited about. And also no more scrambling through notes or doing manual data entry. And this memory feature is exactly what separates this from your average AI agent. Because in business, sometimes remembering all that small stuff is what makes the biggest difference. And if this sounds interesting, then let's demo this agent. Then I'll take you into n8n to show you exactly how I built this. Alright, so we're in n8n now, and this is what my AI memory agent is looking like. Now let me take you guys through a super quick demo of this so you can get a better idea of how this works and where this memory function kind of plays in. Just to let you guys know, I've been debugging this agent, so all of the messages that you see in Telegram on the left-hand side kind of reflect what I've been working on. So let's just check to make sure that this agent is working now that I've ironed out some of the issues. So for the first part of this demo, I wanted to show you how the memory aspect of this agent comes into handy. So for this first Telegram message, I'm going to ask it to retrieve a memory that I included in its database a while back. And to do this, I'm going to ask it if it remembers what project Alan was working on and if it can share any of the details of that with me. So let's get this message sent off and we can see how this agent works through it. Alright, so we got that message back pretty quickly, and it looks like all that debugging I was working on has actually paid off. So in response to that question, the agent reminded me that Alan is working on an AI marketing software built off of Claude 3.7, and he plans to launch in late 2025. And if we head over to my memory bank, this is actually one of the memories that I have included that the agent has access to reference. So even though I haven't been having a conversation about this, my agent was able to retrieve this from its memory bank, just like a human being would, and then return that information to me according to my Telegram message. And in addition to being able to retrieve memories, this agent can also create new memories whenever it detects that something I'm sharing with it is worthy of remembering. So in order to test this, I'm going to say something that's actually pretty important, that directly involves something that I'm currently working on, and something that's going to be a significant advancement for me. And I'm going to see if the agent can actually pick up on this and then create a new memory based off of it. So let's test this workflow and then get this message sent off, and again see how this agent processes. It looks like the workflow triggered my memory tool here, and the agent responded, "That's great, Mike, exciting times ahead." And let me go check my memory. And sure enough, my latest entry is that I just opened up a new office building in Miami and I'm starting to expand my team. So this is just the memory aspect of this agent. It also has CRM features that I'm going to show you in a second here. But if you guys have followed the AI space at all, I think it's amazing what these agents are able to accomplish. And I think it's fun to just nerd out on the fact that this agent can have a conversation with me, adapt its own memory, and evolve over time so that it can be the best possible assistant that knows me on a very deep level. And before we get back into the demo, I just thought that'd be cool to mention real quick. So for this test, I'm going to add a new client to my CRM, and I'm going to instruct my agent that his name is Jack Markson. He's looking for an AI agent team for his admin, and his email is jack25@gmail.com. And if everything is working properly, I should be able to send this through and then update a brand new client into my CRM. And luckily this operation was successful. The agent got back to me and said, "I've added Jack Markson as a new client. He's looking for an AI agent team for his admin, and his email is jack25@gmail.com. Let me know if I can help with anything else." Now if we head into our CRM, we'll be able to see that Jack Markson has been added as a new client, and if we check out his notes, he's looking for an AI agent team for his admin. His project status is inquiry because this is a brand new client we're adding, and his email was correctly entered in as Jack25. So as you can see, this agent allows us to add new records into our CRM, and it's able to take every bit of information out of my message that I sent in Telegram and assign that to each corresponding field here in my Airtable CRM. In the end, this agent is extremely useful when it comes to sales and business. It can handle these background operations, and all we need to do is send a simple message on Telegram. And on top of that, the more we talk to it, the more it'll learn about us, the more memory it'll save. And anytime we want to talk about something in particular, we could just ask the agent to retrieve it from its memory base, and we could just load this base up with all sorts of memories that'll be useful to us in the future. Alright, so now that we've worked fully through that demo, let me take you on a little tour of this agent so that you guys can see exactly how it works under the hood. And before I actually get into the build, let me give you a little overview of how this system works. So every time I send a message to my agent in Telegram, it's going to access all of its memories in my Airtable database. It's going to aggregate all of those into a single row to be passed off to my agent. Then the AI agent is going to run our system prompt so that it can determine what job I'm requesting. And then it's going to use one or more of these 3 tools to accomplish that task for me. And once it's done, it's going to send that message back to me in Telegram. And as for our Airtable database, I have 2 tables set up within the same database. This first one is my CRM, which contains all of my client data. The second one is my memory bank that stores all of the memories that I give the agent or that it determines is important to store for the future. So let's start with the Telegram trigger to show you how I got that set up. So in order to configure this, all you're going to need to do is create a Telegram bot that you're going to want to send this to. If you want to go into n8n's docs to actually see how this works, you can read through all of these instructions, but essentially you're going to need to create a new bot with the bot father, which is a character on Telegram that you'll be able to message to create a new bot. Once you've created that bot, the bot father will give you an API key that you're going to paste into this Telegram credential here. And once you get that connected, you should have access to your new bot. And for this trigger on, you're just going to leave that to the default, which is message. After that's been set up, I'm going to connect my Telegram trigger to an Airtable node. And this particular one is going to be a search record tool. Now, if we open this up, this one is pretty simple to set up. You're going to want to set your credential according to the particular Airtable database that you're going to connect to this agent. So here in Airtable, all you're going to have to do is click on your profile in the upper right corner, go down to Builder Hub, and then create a new access token. Once you create this, you're going to give a name to your access token. You're going to add these 4 scopes just to give the agent basic access to your Airtable database. And for this particular case, it's likely that you only need these first 2 records in order for this use case to work, but I like to add all 4 of these just in case I want to add any more functionality later down the line. And this allows me to not have to come back into Airtable to add these scopes later on. And the last thing you're going to want to do is set your workspace to the particular base that you want to let your agent have access to edit and to retrieve records from. Once you're finished there, you're going to copy and paste your access token into this credential, and then everything should be set up. As for the settings for this node, you're going to set your resource to record. Your operation is going to be search, and then you're going to want to make sure that you select the proper base from this first drop-down menu here. Then you're going to want to make sure you select the correct table from the second drop-down menu. In my case, my memory base is titled memory. So when I'm trying to locate this under my drop-down menu, I only have 2 options. And in this case, it's pretty easy to see which one I need. The last thing you're going to do for this is just to set your limit for how many memories you want to retrieve at one time. Since my particular base is small, I just set it to 5 because that's all I really need. If you have a high volume of memories, you might want to set this from somewhere between 20 and 50 so that your agent is able to access enough memories at a time to be able to offer information during your conversation. This Airtable node is going to retrieve a set of memories. And in order to pass this off to the agent so that it can analyze them, we're going to need to use this tool right here, which is an aggregator. And what this is going to do is it's going to turn all of those memories into a single string that we can pass on to the agent to analyze. Now to set this up, you're going to set your aggregate mode to individual fields. You're going to make sure that your input field name matches your table name in Airtable. So in my case, this is set to memories, and I made sure to put that in exactly as it appeared in Airtable into my n8n node. And finally, you're going to turn rename field on, and then just set any name that you want for your output node. I just set mine to memories because that'll be easier to track later on when I'm trying to keep this data organized. Now there's one thing that I think you guys should know about when it comes to building this memory feature. There are a few videos on YouTube that actually use this merge node right here, in between the aggregate and the AI agent. So the way a lot of people have this set up is that this aggregate node will be attached to input 2 in this merge node, and then the Telegram trigger will be attached to input 1. And then after everything's been ran through this merge node, it'll be outputted into the agent. I spent a couple hours trying to debug this while trying to build the agent according to this method, and the solution that I ended up coming across was to just eliminate the merge node altogether in favor of just aggregating all of my Airtable records and then passing that directly off into my AI agent. You guys can try both methods. This setup you see here is what I was able to get functioning, and it's also quite a bit simpler to set up than including a merge node as well. So just be aware of these variations, and in the end, if you build things exactly as I have them set up here on screen, this memory feature should work just fine for you. So now let's take a look at our AI agent. And there's actually quite a few things going on here, so it'll be helpful to break them down for you guys. So this AI agent, I have it set to a tools agent, which is the agent version that's going to work for pretty much every case that you guys have. Next up, you're going to want to actually change the default for your source for prompt. When you open this node up for the first time, it's going to say connected chat trigger node, but you're going to want to go down and select define below. And for your prompt user message, you're going to actually make sure that you execute all of these previous nodes so that you can generate enough data on the left-hand side so that you can locate the field to be used for your prompt. And once you have all that data generated, so what you're going to do, you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom right here to where it says text. you're just going to click and drag that into your prompt user message field. And once you get that, you're going to have this little string of JavaScript acting as your prompt. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to take all of those messages that you send in Telegram and pass these directly off to the agent so that you can maintain conversations with it. And with all that said, let's take a look at the system prompt, because this is kind of the secret sauce that makes this entire system work. Although this prompt isn't massive, it's going to be more complex than the prompts that I've made in my past 2 videos, because there are a few things going on here that need a little bit of nuance. On a high level, I have this prompt broken up into role, tools, and notes. So let's get started with the role. I set this agent to be a friendly and helpful sales and CRM assistant operating via Telegram. I clarified to the agent that its job is to manage sales info, track client data, and update the company's CRM. I also made sure to clarify that it has the ability to store, access, and add memories about the user according to any relevant information that I might share with it during conversations. I also said that this memory gives you the ability to personalize conversations and reference previous events and details. In addition, I also made sure to instruct it that each memory is only going to be 1 sentence long. If the memories that it's creating become a little too out of hand, it's going to be very difficult to retrieve them later on. And it just makes everything easier if all the memories being created and stored are just 1 sentence in length. And just to keep the conversation itself under wraps too, I made sure to instruct the agent to respond to the user concisely in a casual and conversational tone. Keep your response simple enough to be shared as a text message. And again, if the agent is responding to every question in a massive block of text, that's going to be pretty inconvenient and it's going to take way too long for you to read. And lastly, I included these 2 variables here at the bottom of our role. The first one is allowing the agent to access its current memories. And this json.memories variable is actually going to be located on the left-hand side as well. So when I executed all previous nodes a moment ago, I was able to generate all of this data. And in order to pass all of the memories that have just been retrieved from Airtable onto this agent, you're going to find the aggregate field. You're going to select this first heading right here that says memories. And like before, you're just going to click and drag that down into the prompt. And what this is going to do is it's going to output what you see right here on the right-hand side. And this is the set of memories that was retrieved from Airtable. Since it was passed through the aggregate node, it's going to be all collected into one string that can easily be read, understood, and processed by the AI agent as you're speaking with it. And this right here is very important because this is what allows the agent to understand what its past memories are. This is very important for giving it context and functionality as a memory agent. And lastly, I included for reference, today is the variable now. And as you can see here on the left, this variable outputs the exact date and time. And this just helps give the agent more context. And this also comes in handy later on if you want to include any calendar tools or any event booking tools. And if you're curious about how to set up a booking feature for one of these agents, you could check out the last video I made, which I'll link somewhere up here. So following this role explanation, we're going to have our tools. And under this, I have 3 bullet points that correspond to each of the tools I've equipped the agent with. And keep in mind, when you're describing the tools to the agent, you want to make sure that you write each tool into this prompt exactly as you've named it. And this just helps resolve any confusion and prevent any errors during the execution of your tasks. So first up, I've instructed the agent to use the memory tool whenever a user shares something important. Summarize it into 1 sentence and save it as a memory. Do not save every detail as memory, only what's relevant. Because if the agent thinks that everything you say is relevant to be saved into memory, things are going to get way too out of hand in your memory database, and it's going to just be very difficult for your agent to function. Next up, I instructed the agent to use the Update CRM tool to change info on an existing client. In the company CRM, update a client's notes and/or project status according to the client's name and the user's request. Keep each update as concise as possible. And this is pretty self-explanatory as well. This is just instructing the agent to locate existing records and update them with new information. Lastly, I told the agent to use the Add Client tool to create a new client in the company CRM. Add notes, project status, or email info when the info is given. And again, keep each update as concise as possible. Now I've kind of ironed the instructions out for each of these tools just so that you can make sure no unnecessary information is being passed into your CRM or making a mess of everything. Now lastly, I've also included a notes section here just to reiterate that the agent shouldn't share everything that I discuss with it as a memory. Only the most relevant bits of information should become memories. So I admit that this is a little bit of a longer prompt than you might have seen in my past videos, but if you follow the guidelines that I've set up here for this particular prompt, the agent should be able to access and retrieve memory, in addition to being able to use each of its tools according to whatever request that you're making for it. Now before I get onto the tools, this agent is actually going to need a chat model connected to it, as well as a memory node, so that it can store your chat history and understand the context of your individual conversations. For my chat model, I have this agent set up with Google Gemini. And you guys can of course set this up with OpenAI or Anthropic or even DeepSeek, but I prefer to have this set up with something that's not going to be costing me too much credits to consume. And especially when you're testing agents, it can be pretty convenient to not be burning a lot of cache when you're inputting larger prompts, or if you're doing a lot of testing on your agents. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you guys are curious about setting up Gemini, all you have to do is set up your credential by making an account with Gemini and then pasting your API key into this credential section. And although you could use any one of these models, I personally prefer to use Gemini 2.0 Flash because it performs very well, and the performance is actually very close to GPT-4, but it personally saves me a lot of money in token consumption when I use Gemini as opposed to GPT-4. So the next thing that you're going to want to add to this agent just to make sure that it functions correctly is a window buffer memory. And although this is a memory agent, the memory features that I had talked to you before when it comes to this Airtable tool are going to be responsible for the agent's long-term memory. The short-term memory is going to be taken care of by this buffer node. Now in this case, I have the agent set up to remember the past 5 exchanges that I've had back and forth with it. In other words, where the Airtable database was tracking all of the memories that I want the agent to store over a long period of time and retrieve whenever I might need them, this window buffer memory is going to keep track of the last few messages in our conversation just so that the agent is able to keep tabs on the context of our conversation. And it's going to prevent me from having to repeat myself over and over again. So don't worry about all this JavaScript right here. This is just an output from all of the executions that I've had in the past. But in order to set this up, you're going to want to come over here to Session ID, and instead of your default connected chat trigger node, you're going to want to click Define Below, just like before. In order to map your chat ID to your key field, you're going to come over here onto the left-hand side, find your Telegram trigger, scroll down to where you see chat, and then just grab your ID and drag it over here into the key field. And that's what's going to input your chat ID variable so that the agent can keep track of your conversations. Now I've set my context window length to 5, but depending on your use case and how much you want the agent to remember, you could experiment with setting this somewhere in the range of 10 to 15. And again, making sure that you've ran all of your previous nodes will allow you to generate all of this data that you see here so that you can map all of your necessary fields. And that about covers the actual AI agent setup. And with that, I think it's about time to dive into our tools so that you guys can understand how those work a little better as well. So first off, I'm going to start with the memory tool. And to create this is just going to be a simple Airtable tool that you're going to configure once you actually open the node up. Now, once you come in here, you're going to first off make sure that you name this to memory tool so that you can keep track of what it does, and so that it matches the description that you've given under the tool section in your agent's system prompt. Now, just like before, you're going to set up your credential just so it matches the database that you're using before. And this entire project just uses the same Airtable database, so you just need to set your credential up once. For your tool description, it's going to be set automatically. My resource is going to be record, and the operation is going to be create. Now, this is the tool that's going to allow the agent to create new memories. So every record it creates is going to add another bit of information to its memory database. Now under base, I've just selected my main base, which is my sales agent memory. And under table, I've selected memory as opposed to CRM because this is where all of my new memories are going to be stored. And as for mapping mode, I've set it to map each column manually, and the memory itself is going to be defined by the model. And what this is going to do is it's going to read the message that I gave it in Telegram. The model is going to determine how to phrase that in a 1-sentence description. Once it comes up with that, it's going to send that variable through this memory tool and update my memory database in Airtable. So for this particular instance, there's no need to map any of this data on the left-hand side because I'm defining things by the model. So this is pretty straightforward to set up. Now our second tool is actually going to be the Update CRM tool. And this is going to be set up in pretty much the same way as our first one, in that we're going to set up our Airtable credential, we're going to define the tool description to set automatically, and our resource is going to be record. So those first 3 settings are going to be identical. However, when it comes to operation, you're going to scroll down to the bottom here and select Update. For the base, it's going to be the same base as we've been using in this entire build, which is the sales agent memory. But unlike the last one, I'm going to be selecting my CRM because that's where my records live, and that's what I want to be using this tool to update. And just like before, I'm going to be mapping each column manually. I have my column match set to ID, and when it comes to the values to update, I've allowed the model to define each of these fields just so that all of the information that gets transferred from the previous nodes and from the agent itself is consistent with all of the variables being mapped here in Airtable. Now, every time I send a message to update a client in my CRM, the agent is going to be taking the information from that message. It's going to separate it out so that it can map each of these fields. Then it's going to come into my CRM, and it's going to fit each of those categories into its respective field here in Airtable. And now I can tell the agent to update just my notes, just my project status, or even just the email. Or I could even tell the agent to update all 3 of them at once. And this is where it helps to define everything by the model, because not every use case is going to be the same. Sometimes you might want to map more records, and it's easier to do it this way just because things are more consistent on the build side of things. Alright, so the last tool that we have for this agent is going to be our add client tool. And this is going to just about wrap up the agent once we get through talking about this one. So again, this is going to be very similar to the past few that we've set up. You're going to simply connect your Airtable credential to the same database, set your tool description to set automatically, your resources record. This time your operation is going to be create, which is going to be right here at the top. Our base is going to be the same as before, and our table is going to be CRM, because this is where all of our clients are going to be. Now again, I'm using this feature to map each column automatically, and from there I'm having the model define every single field that I have in my CRM. And again, this is just going to keep all of the data very easy to follow, and it's going to make sure everything is consistent across with the messages that you give to the agent, and all of the information that gets collected in your CRM. And again, if you follow this strategy, there's no mapping that's necessary in this node. And you also want to make sure that your name is going to be the same as the name that you gave within your system prompt for this tool. Alright, so the very last thing that I want to take you guys through with this agent is the Telegram send message trigger. And this is what's going to wrap all of this up by taking the initial message that we sent in Telegram, allowing that to pass through the entire agent, allowing the agent to execute the tools, and then the final result will be returned to us within this message. Now, if you want to set this up, all you're going to have to do is click the plus in the upper right, search for Telegram, scroll down to the bottom here, and under message actions, you're going to see a node called send a text message. That's the node that we're going to use to finish off this agent right here. And let me take you guys through how this one is set up. So the credential is going to be exactly the same as our first Telegram node. I set it up with my sales memory bot. The resource I'm using here is message, and the operation is going to be send message, which is going to allow us to return the message from the AI agent. Now for our chat ID, this is going to be similar to the steps that you've seen previously in this video. You're going to simply scroll down here on the left-hand side to Telegram trigger. You're going to locate chat as a title. You're going to simply click on ID and drag that over here into your chat ID field. And for our text output, you're going to scroll back up to the top, locate your AI agent, and then just click and drag that output directly into that text field. And as you can see right here with the preview on the left-hand side, this is what's going to return that final AI agent output back to us in Telegram, just to let us know that the entire operation was successful and this specific task has been carried out. And again, don't worry about all this JavaScript right here on the left. This is just showing us what the output was for this node. But if you happen to be into debugging and you're running into any issues with your agent, then this information can be pretty useful right here. Alright, so that about wraps up everything that I wanted to talk to you guys about with this AI memory agent here in Telegram. Now, if you have any questions about this build here, be sure to let me know down in the comments. And by the way, if you happen to be looking for a particular AI solution yourself, or if you happen to know anybody else who might want one for themselves, be sure to use my links down in the description to connect with me so we can have a conversation about this. But when it comes to building this agent in n8n, there are quite a few things going on here behind the scenes. Assuming you follow the instructions in this video, you should be able to get this thing set up. I'd advise you to pay specific attention to the system prompt that I included within my AI agent. That's going to be the magic sauce that allows all of this stuff to work the way that it does. And it also allows the agent to communicate with each of its tools to send information back and forth. And if at any point there's an error with one of your tools, the agent will just send a message back to you saying something like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't execute X tool because I'm experiencing some issues. Please try again later." And having this type of functionality is one of the things that makes AI agents so versatile and so fantastic for handling background tasks for you. And again, this memory aspect of this is what's going to set this apart from every other agent. So between the tools and the memory capacity, this ends up being a very valuable build that can be applied to a wide variety of use cases. So I hope you guys got some value out of this video. And if you stayed all the way to the end, I appreciate you for watching. Feel free to drop any comments or questions down in the comments section below. And with that, I'll catch you all in the next one.